So we continue the discussion of Megillah Esther. We got to chapter 5 of the Megillah, and this is where Esther comes to the king and makes her request. And I mentioned yesterday that this was for her a very risky game. What she does, she makes Ahasuerus suspect that she has an affair with Haman. Because why else? Why would she risk herself to come into his inner chambers without being invited, without being called? That she knows it carries the death penalty. He could execute her on the spot. And so he thinks, what does she have in mind that she came to talk to me? And what she has in mind is, I want you and Haman to come to a party with me. So the suspicion is building up. So he comes to the feast, and he already said, whatever you want, I'll do. So she could have said right there and then, I want you to overturn the decree against the Jews. She doesn't do that. Why? Because she doesn't know what's in his mind. She doesn't know that maybe that he also has evil schemes against the Jews. Maybe he will say, yes, you know what? I'll give you whatever you want. You want castles, you want palaces, jewelry, you want to go to, I'll give you a free pass to Beverly Hills, go on a shopping spree, whatever you want. But don't meddle with my politics. Right? It was a possibility. So what does she do? She builds the tension even more. She says, Yavo HaMelech v'Haman el HaMishteh asher ya'aseh lahem u'machar ya'aseh kedvar HaMelech. She says, tomorrow I'll talk to you. So now she leaves him in suspense. This is a cliffhanger. He's going crazy. What is going on? What does she want from me? What does she want from Haman? What is happening here? So Haman leaves his exuberant, is so happy that he's in that position because he really wants to be the king. And now he feels that Esther is giving him an opportunity. He really thinks that's what she wants to do. So he plays...
Who is better than...
Exactly.
So she's giving him a
right.
She wants him.
Right. She gives him a proof that she is supportive of him. Right? So he goes and he gathers all his friends, of his family, kol ha'avav, zeresh ishto, and he tells them, kavod oshro, rov banav, kol asher gidel lo hamelech. He says, look who I am. It's like he's building now. He's almost building his campaign to become the next emperor. It is sort of almost a revolution. And he says, but there is one problem. Kol ze einenu shoveli b'chol hayat asher ani od Mordechai Yehudi yoshev b'sha'ar hamelech. This shows us his arrogance and jealousy. You have all that. What do you care for? If one person doesn't bow down to you, ignore him. That is what Mordechai also knew when he started this game. That Haman's arrogance would not let him calm down until he does away with all of his enemies. So the suggestion that he received from his Zeresh and all of his friends to build a gallows where to execute Mordechai, come to the king in the morning and ask him to execute Mordechai, and you're done. And because you're entitled to ask for Mordechai's execution because he transgressed the command of the king to bow down to Ahasuerus. However, this is one verse that we all read out loud together. What is it? On that night, sleep deserted the king, and he ordered the book of records, the annals to be brought, and it was read to the king. So he asked for the protocol to be read to him. Now, the Midrash makes it something bigger than in terms of like divine intervention. They said that God didn't let him sleep, and when he brought the book of protocols, the one who had to read it to him was another son of Haman, whose name is not mentioned in the Megillah, and his name was Shimshai. And every time Haman's son opened the book, it opened on the page telling how Mordechai saved the king, and he didn't want, so he was trying to leave back, kept coming back to the same place, and that's why it says, "Vayiyu nikraim lifnei hamelech," and they were read. But that is a midrash. The pshat is a completely different story.
Where the name Shimshai?
I don't know where they took it from. It's very interesting. It's mentioned in the Gemara, Shimshai, in Masechet Megillah. The pshat is different. The meaning of the text is different. What happens is that Ahasuerus cannot sleep because of Esther. She planted the seeds of doubt in his mind that something is happening under his nose that he's not aware of, and he can't fall asleep. Now, what is he thinking of? He says there's a plot happening in the palace, and I'm not aware of it. how come that of all of my friends and servants and subjects, no one cares enough to tell me what is happening, right? I don't need to draw analogies, but there are always leaks in the White House. Not only with with all presidents, there's always someone who's leaking something to the press and it's always been like that. In the palace, there are different alliances. So he says, is there no alliance with me? No one cares enough to come and tell me, the king, you should know this and that is happening. So he says, let's go through the protocols. Because the reason why people are not loyal to me is maybe I did not reward them for their loyalty. So when he says, Vayuni Kraim, Ahashverosh is deliberately looking for a case of a person who was loyal to him, but was not rewarded. It didn't happen to come upon the case of Mordechai. He was looking specifically for that case. He wanted to find, is there someone who did me a favor and I didn't pay him back, and I didn't show loyalty? And if there is such a guy, I'm going to make a case out of him. I'm going to show everyone a public display. Look how I treat those who do me a favor. Right? He could have done the opposite, which many dictators do. They find the traitors and they execute them. But Ahashverosh, in this case, shows wisdom. He says it's better to entice people with the reward than to threaten them with the punishment. He says, I'm going to find that guy who deserves a reward, and I'm going to give him such a big reward that anyone who knows anything about plots against me will come and tell. This is the story. So what he finds is that Mordechai revealed the plot of Bigtan Vateresh to kill Ahashverosh, and he was not rewarded. That's why the king says, Mana asa yikaru gdula le Mordechai. Did we reward him? We didn't do anything. If it was in modern day, we'd probably say we filed the request with the Department of Treasury. They need to approve it. The bill didn't pass yet, so we can't pay him for his services to the country. But anyway, in the Persian Empire, Mordechai was not rewarded. So Vayomer Hamelech mi bechatzer. He says who's in the. So we could read it in two ways. Either Hatzer is Hatzar HaMelech, is the courtyard where the courtiers, where the advisors are. So he says, who of my advisors are here? And ironically, it's Haman, because Haman is up early in the morning. He wants to be the first in line to get his request. But also it could be that he was interrupted because he hears the clacking of the chariots and all of Haman coming in. In between, by the way, something that could have happened, we don't not really in the Megillah, but is a possibility that if Ahashverosh suspected that Haman is plotting against him, he might have sent someone to look, go to Haman's house, go to his palace, and see what's happening. The spy goes, and he looks through the window, or outside, and he sees that, the driveway is full of Persian limousines. They're all at chariots, everybody's there. There's a whole gathering. He comes back to Ahashverosh, he says, Haman is having a conference. He says, oh, so it's true, he's really plotting against me. So now he says, who's in the courtyard? I hear the noise of the chariots. Who's there? They say Haman is there. Vayavu Haman. So tell him to come in. And here's the most sarcastic part of the Megillah. We all laugh at Haman because he thinks when Hashverosh says, Ma la'asot ba'ish asher hamelech hafetz bikaro. How do I honor someone? Vayomer Haman belibo. He says, it could be only me. I'm the one. Meaning he's so blinded by his arrogance that he thinks that the Hashverosh is really on his side. That's another pasuk that our Hazan used to read with a special intonation. He's like, come on, I'm the one, right? So if you really want to honor someone, he says this. Yaviu levush, and I'm going to emphasize anything that has to do with malchut, with royalty. Yaviu levush malchut, asher lavash bo hamelech, vesus asher achav alav hamelech, ואשר ניתן כתר מלכות בראשו, ונתון הלבוש והסוס על יד איש משרי המלך הפרטמים. He says, for the man whom the king desires to honor, let royal garb which the king has worn be brought, and a horse on which the king has ridden, and on whose head a royal diadem has been set, and let them be put in the charge of one of the king's noble courtiers. So basically he says, I want you to dress that man as similarly as possible to a king. He's not going to be the king, but he's going to wear something that the king wore in the past. This is very, I would say, courageous, or it's chutzpah. It's audacious to say, I want to wear something that the king wore. It's like saying, okay, let me try it on. Can I get rid of you and wear your clothes? And to ride the horse that the king rode in the past? You don't do that. So Haman says what he says, and Hashverosh now got the proof that he needed. He really wants to get rid of me, right?
So the party hasn't happened yet, right?
All this is before the party, right? All this is before the party, early in the morning. So Vayashov Mordechai el Shar HaMelech v'Haman ithavel beto avel v'hafui rosh. So Mordechai did that, Haman did that, and of course now we have a reversal of fate. Mordechai now is the one who is praised, who is being glorified, and Haman is at a very low position. The Midrash, the rabbis added, pain to insult with Haman, and say that his daughter was washing the floor, or she was cleaning the bathrooms, and she had a bucket of refuse, and she saw her father walking Mordechai. She thought that her father is on the horse and Mordechai is walking, so she spilled it on his head. But it's not written in the. He didn't need that. Believe me, it was enough, insulted and ashamed enough to have that, because he's the highest ranking of officer of the government, and now he has to walk the horse. It's a very lowly position. And there's a story, I know, that happened in Baghdad when one of the cantors who read the Megillah was a little tipsy when he read he already was drunk when he read the Megillah. So when you get to this pasuk, V'aman nidhaf el beto avel v'hafui rosh. So the word in Arabic, in Iraqi Arabic, you say abel alenu. May when you want to curse someone, may he die and people will mourn him. Abel alenu. So he reads the word avel. It sounded the same. So read the Aman. Ithavel beto abel v'hafui rosh v'abel alenu v'htara kaman ishta'al. Like let him. He went on to cursing in Arabic. Let him burn. Let him this. Because this is a really dramatic moment where you feel like we're all happy that Haman, but it's not. Didn't end yet. He comes home and he says, "Look what happened to me." Now his advisors, instead of saying, "Don't worry, we could overcome it. We'll find a way," they say, "Oh, imizera Yehudim Mordechai asher hachilot alimpon lefanav, lo tuchal lo ki nafol tipol lefanav." Say, "Oh, Mordechai is a Jew. We didn't know that. If it's Jewish, there's no way you could, once he takes over, you're doomed." So he said, what do you mean, if he's a Jew? You knew it all along. All of his advisors knew that. So that shows you the kind of support that Haman had. And this is something that you could look throughout history. A tyrant such as Haman, if he has people around him, they are only with him as long as he's strong. But once he starts falling, they abandon him. There's a phrase in the Gemara. They say "Nafal Torah haded sakina," that when the ox stumbles, everybody pulls out the knives. The ox strong, for everybody is a symbol of strength. But the moment it stumbles, everybody says, "Okay, it's going to die. Let's take the knife and kill him." So kill it. So the same with Haman. As long as he's successful, they're all around him. Yes, you could succeed. You do. Once he loses status, they say, "Oh, we forgot to tell you something. Yeah, Mordechai is a Jew, so you can't win." They knew it all along, but just they're going basically with the winning party. And at that point, the servants of Hashverosh come to call Haman and Haman to the party of Esther. And we'll stop here because we don't want to talk too much about the feast on the day of fast. We'll continue tomorrow.